Hello and welcome to this transit talk. Today we're going to look at gates 52, I believe it was. Sorry, I should have pulled this up first. We'll learn from this eventually. I make no promises on how long it's going to take me to learn to have these things organised. I did, however, manage to press live and start going live today. So 52 and 58. So this is the Sun and the Earth transit lines. The other line that we may dive into, and I'm going to try and keep this to about 20 minutes. We'll see again how we go with that. Is gate 14 keeps coming up for me. And I suspect it's a personal gate, though I think when I looked last night it was in the transits as well. Oh, my book is not in there. Where is that book? Ah, we're going to pick up one of the other books. So again, we're using the definitive book of human design and the complete guide to circuits, channels and gates by Richard Rudd, and the visionary I Ching cards by Paul O'Brien, and my intuition and insights. So I don't know where my little book has gone. It'll be on my desk somewhere. It'll appear when it is meant to. Gate 52. So gate 52 is a root gate. It is connected with gate 9 through what I believe is... It's definitely a collective circuitry. Gate 56 just appeared in my book. Gate 52. Keeping still. That's right. We're in purposeful progress. Meaningful progress begins after stillness. So 52 is all about the stillness. At the ultimate pinnacle, it is peacefulness, a harmonic and balanced attunement that it is ease regardless of the situation. Which, when we think about the root center, the root is stress and pressure and the opposite to being grounded. It is impulsivity. We're able to tap into being grounded there as well, but the not self, the way it plays out when we're misaligned, is following the impulses. And those impulses can look like anxiety, stress, or they can look like alignment and moving in the direction that we know is true for us. So I think we must be in about, let's pull up the Jovian transits, the weather. Must be in about line 3 or 4 today in this particular transit. So for those of you that are new, the Earth gate and the Sun will move through a line, a gate. Let me get these accurate. So it'll move through around a line a day. It takes 5 to 7 days to transit through the gate. So gates 52, 52.4, 58. So we're into line 4 today, and 52 and 58. So gate 52 is the Sun, gate 58 is the Earth. Channel 1762 is active today. I'm just looking to see. So that's with Mercury. And Mercury has just gone into retrograde. So Mercury will start to rewind through that gate for a day or 3. And then it'll start moving forward again. I am now curious. So that's the rabbit hole we're going to go down, is how long is it's staying in 62, because then we'll get 6217 as a channel. We may play with that this morning as well. If I knew what I was typing in, I'm typing in that to pull up how long is Mercury going to stay in gate 62. Gate 62 is an Anya gate. So what this does collectively is it will bring definition and consistency to ideas and expression. And so one of the things that I've noticed with where the consistency comes in is that often we can feel it as it kicks in. It's like, oh, this is new, this is different, I really like it. My muse has been reactivated, or I'm feeling so inspired, or I'm just on point today, my emotions are really heightened. Whatever it is, it depends on the center that's being activated. When it disappears, I find, is where I used to notice the biggest jarringness, and it was I would feel like I'd lost something. And so recognizing that there are inconsistencies, and those inconsistencies, so I'm just giggling, Einstein is the chart that just came up as I'm pulling up the calendar. The inconsistencies, hello shiny thing, the inconsistencies, when they come through the universal or through a person and then they disappear, we often feel their loss. And loss is the wrong word, but we're going to go with it for a moment, because it does feel like a loss, and we feel like we've lost a piece of ourselves. So recognizing that they're meant to be inconsistent is really important. I just pulled up my weekly calendar, and all but one of the gates are interacting on some level with my personal chart. That feels reasonably intense, which I had been noticing. So today is Monday, in Australia at least. We want to go to the next week. So let's go to the 29th. Will that bring up? What's that going to bring up day-wise? Okay, so that's got, so Mercury, 62.6, 62.6. I'm just curious to see if it actually gets back to 62.5 as it seemingly goes backwards, but it doesn't actually go backwards. So it does. So Mercury will be counting down. And this, I wonder, is why we look at Mercury retrograde the way we do. So I haven't really dove into astrology too far, but there's all talks of Mercury retrograde, but there's this sense of going backwards. Now, in terms of the human design mandala and the way it moves through the lines, so normally we progress through the lines forwards, and they count up from 1 through 6 and then transition to the next gate. What Mercury is doing in retrograde is counting backwards. So we've got 62.6, and then on Sunday, at least in Australia, we get to 62.5, then we get to 62.4, and it's doing it quite slowly. It's going to stay in 62.6 for quite some time, like a couple of days, and then 62.5 gets 2 days, and then 62.4, and then if we click to the next week, we get a very slow loading chart. Then it flips back to 62.6, 62.5. No, that's the same week that we were just looking at. Try again, Amy. So we get to the next week, and 62.4. So we're still counting down, 62.1, and then instead of progressing through the mandala, it's moving back through the mandala. We get to 53. So this, I think, is why Mercury retrograde, from a human design mandala perspective at least, and I'm sure there's people out there that explain it for astrology, it feels... So imagine you were driving forwards, and you knew how to drive forwards. You drove a road consistently. I'm teaching my kids to drive. It comes into my conversations a lot at the moment. We went yesterday, and my Tory Frog drove to Hartley, and then Lexi Frog drove around Hartley. And Lexi, we're at like under an hour of driving lessons. We're right at fresh and green. We may have, actually, I don't even think we've quite hit an hour. Like, we're at 40 minutes. So it's very new, very terrifying, very expansive still. But I said, let's just go straight down this road. And Lexi instantly says, like, I want somebody else to drive down the road so that I know where I'm driving. But when we're driving forwards, we can step into the unknown. And because we're driving forwards, there's a progression, and as long as we're taking it slowly, particularly in the context of a driving lesson, changes a little bit in other areas of our lives. If we're doing it in reverse, it's just that little bit extra unfamiliar. So it's one thing to drive forwards down a road that you don't know, that I did know. So I wasn't too worried about whether we knew the road or not, because I knew the road and it's reasonably straight. We were literally only going an extra 100, maybe 200 meters, and then into the next car park. We weren't going far, so it didn't need too much. But driving is so unfamiliar. So moving forwards into something unfamiliar still feels unfamiliar and discombobulating. But imagine driving backwards. And so for most of us, we can drive on roads that are unknown, that have been driving for a while at least, because driving forwards is comfortable and familiar. But if we had to do it in reverse, then it becomes even more unfamiliar. And so I'm wondering if that's the jarringness that we feel, or that some people are sensitive to through Mercury retrograde, is that it's moving backwards, like we're reversing through life and through the energies. And so, yeah, that's an interesting observation. I don't know. I'm open to other insights. Maybe there are other explanations that have made sense to you. I am open to all kinds of ideas and perspectives, and I'm not really tied to any of them. I'm exploring and tapping into the collective. But what is happening in Mercury retrograde is this progression backwards, and this counting backwards. I'm just going to move. I don't know how long Mercury is in retrograde. It continues back. I'm just clicking through a couple of weeks. 50. So we're going 53 point, and then it comes up to 53.3. So that's the end of the month. So it stays there for a little while, and then as we progress to 53 point, then we progress back into 62. So it moves not only backwards through the gates, or through the lines within the gates, but also through the gates. So that's what's happening there. What does that mean for us? Let's look at gate 62 and just tap into. So what that does mean is that gate 62 is active with Mercury for 2 weeks or so. So that expression of ideas, gate 1762, and I'll pull that up in the book in a second, is definitely active for quite some time. And so it's moving back through self-discipline, metamorphosis, asceticism, discovery, a genius for the unusual, restraint and routine, the inability to transcend the boredom of routine through a rich and daring fantasy life. We like that. Am I going to dive too much deeper? Caution, patience, and detail produce excellence out of limitation. That's the theme of gate 62. So that's what's moving backwards for us at the moment in terms of Mercury retrograde. Let's dive back to the sun and the earth. So we've got, let's come back to this one. We've got gate 52. Stillness brings focus, concentration, and the ability to pause. And for me, I'm definitely feeling that this week. We did our weekly planning session in another community that I'm in yesterday. And I'm definitely in allowing for the stillness, allowing for the pause, allowing for just things to unfold as they unfold. And finding a clear focus. And so I'm definitely feeling that slow down energy. So we're in line 4, which is self-discipline. And so it deals nicely with the impulsive tendencies and the impulsive temptations. I'm not a huge fan of the term self-discipline. I'll find a different one in a second. But the energy for restraint, which recognize the value of stillness and focus. So the root center is constantly pulsing with instinctual momentum is the words that come up. And in this case, it's connecting to the sacral. So gate 52 connects to the sacral through gate 9. It's a collective circus. So it's collective circuit, not circus. Words, I can word. We are professional. So the impulsivity of the root, and it is a series of pulses that move through us, but that impulsivity, the nervous system regulation, all of that is allowing ourselves to still, allowing ourselves to connect. And I really like connect. So it's that connection with action, but it's an aligned action. And sometimes the best action we can take is no action at all, and allowing ourselves to slow and to still. And so gate 52 is giving us the opportunity to rediscover the power in the pause, to reconnect with what is peacefulness, to reconnect with, so line 5, which is coming up next, in times of inaction, the often important ability to explain one's position, where inaction and focus can lead to detail. And I think I really like that because I really like the depth. I've got other gates that bring depth. And then, of course, the flip side of that is where too much inaction can lead to a loss of focus and not to the detail. And so there's a line to be found here where we pause and reflect and discover versus where we pause and ruminate and become stagnant. And so finding that dance between consistent, constant movement driven by impulses, driven by dysregulated nervous systems, driven by pressure, stress, anxiety, overwhelm, tension, all of which are playing out in the root, to a space where we have the stillness to re-regulate, to co-regulate, to pause, to regroup, to self-soothe, and then allowing ourselves to reflect and to reveal the details that are going to help us build the progress. And then gate 58 is the joy. It's inspiring improvement and the vitality, a desire to make things better and meaningful. And at its most extreme, we get carried away and there's a defensiveness and a focusing. And so right now we're in the focusing, a natural specialization that when confronted with a multiplicity, I do like that word, a multiplicity of stimulations, will have no difficulty in focusing on the appropriate influence. And so gate 58 from memory, let's just confirm my memory. Gate 58 is also a collective channel leading up to the spleen. So it's going to be connected into intuition and that recognition. So our intuition, our instincts, our insights kind of fits there. It kind of fits up in the higher areas of the head. But that intuitive connection and the instinctual connection. Line 3 is electricity. We do like electricity. The energy to fuel independent stimulation. And so the defined root, the consistent root, and even the undefined root, if we're just looking at the root chakra for a moment, it is about the stimulation. And is that stimulation ours or is it somebody else's? So for me, my root is defined, and I find that my stress and my anxiety definitely are almost always my own. So one of the questions, if you haven't been around for long yet, that I utilize all the time to tapping into our are we living in alignment or are we living out of alignment, is the question, is this mine? And for any of our undefined centers, tapping into asking, is this mine? So is this impulsivity mine? Is this emotion mine? Is this instinct or intuition mine? Is this motivation mine? Is this sense of self mine? Is this communication? Is this manifestation mine? Is this idea mine? Is this inspiration mine? Is this insight mine? All of this, is this mine? And I've just gone through the different centers. I think I got all of them. I may have missed one. What we want to tap into is, particularly at the moment, if you're noticing a consistent impulse, a consistent generation, and it's not in alignment, it's worth checking in. Is this the universal pressure and stress that's happening right now? Is this drive, is this impulse to move my own right now? Am I overriding a need for stillness? Am I overriding a need for joy and this desire to make things better? And so we want to tap into that. What is it that is helping us maintain? And I think I may have the prompt in here. I suspect I didn't check well enough because it's got gate 58 as vitality, and that would definitely be gate 52 because it connects to the sacral. That's me just challenging what I've written. So what do we do with this? We pause and we ask if the impulsivity we've got is our own. We probably also pause and ask if the pause that we're feeling and the stillness we're looking for is ours. I'm definitely enjoying the stillness and the slowness. My route is defined. This is a different flavor of grounding that's coming through. And so leveraging that comes through, and leveraging what brings us joy. Like, I mean, it's a question that we're asked all the time, but what is it that brings us joy? What is it that brings us satisfaction? So much for 20 minutes, Amy. We're at 22 minutes. I feel like I've done 52 and 58, at least to some degree. I hope there was some value in that, something that may have resonated for you. Tap into what these mean for you. Tap into what meaningful progress often begins with stillness. So allowing space for the pause, allowing the focus, the concentration, the ability to just sit for a moment and discern, is this mine? Is this someone else's? To override the impulsivity and the anxiety and the stress and the pressure that may be coming through collectively, into just grounding and allowing yourself to tap into what's going to bring me in the direction that I want to head, what's going to bring me joy, what's going to bring you joy. And this will allow the energy to be directed in the direction where it's going to matter most. So that feels complete. Like I said, gate 14, and I'm going to look and see if it's in the transits. Gate 14 has come up, or the number 14. I've just been, so we had 14, like it just keeps coming up. It is a defined gate for me in Uranus, I think. Gate 14. In the other side, Amy. Yeah. So my uniqueness and change is found through Affluence, which is gate 14. It's line 5 for me. It is, let's have a look at the transit calendar. We just want to come back to this week. So we are the 29th of June. Other people up. It's really early here. It's really odd to have other people up. We want to go into that first week of July. So I'm not seeing it. Its counterpart is gate 2. Gate 2 is active, which potentially is why it's coming up. Why do we have 2 numbers there? Okay, gate 20 is not gate 2. Gate 2 is not active. I retract that statement. What did I see last night? Potentially it was in the moon last night. Potentially not. It's counterpart gate 8. Let me double check that that's accurate. Just bear with me for a moment. If you're watching this after the live, I'll have done some editing and you won't see any of this. But if you're watching me live, welcome to my musing and the way that I navigate the world. So I want to go to this one, Control F, gate 14. Yeah, so its counterpart is 8. So gate 8 is active this week. Oh, has been active last week through Mars. And so I wonder if that's why it's been coming up for me. So gate 8 and gate 14 are opposites on the mandala. They're also opposites on the body graph. And both of them are completion gates for me. It also means that so that counterpart, when Uranus reaches its counterpart, and it's not the gate that's there at the moment, we get a different, like it flips our perspective for our uniqueness and change. Will start to play into the other. So gate 14, just because we're here, money isn't everything, management, service, security, arrogance, and humility. So mine was line 5. Innate dignity that is a key to power. And then innate recognition of those without power, fueling the illusion of superiority. Oh my goodness, have I lived that in my life, especially in the space of uniqueness. What do I need to tap into? I'm drawn back to, there's my little book. I'm drawn back to the little story about gate 14. So gate 14, affluence, fire above, sky below. And then gate 8 is water above, earth below. Oh, so they really are. We've got fire on one. They're really quite a contrasting. So gate 8 has 1 yang line. Gate 14 has 1 yin. Interestingly, mine is the line that I'm at is that yin line. So there's a lot of yang in that space, which hence the possession in great measure, power, skills. Like it's only 1 line off being all yang. And it is that 5th line that is yin, supreme success. Along with any accumulation of wealth or influence can come an increase of pride and arrogance. Fight this tendency if you want your good fortune to stay. Remember that while prosperity beats the alternative, it is only one element of a satisfying life. I feel like that's the line that needed to jump out to me, tapping into what is it that brings a fulfilling life. And certainly affluence, which is the key theme of gate 14, is important. But there are so many other things that are also important. Managing money, managing wealth, managing finances has been a primary focus the last couple of days. I probably did just need that reminder. It's interesting to me that gate 8 has been active and I've been tapping into that gate 14, that counterpart. So gate 8 is holding together. Holding together produces success. High-level teamwork is achieved when the right players on the right team share a clear goal at the right time. All successful teams have a shared vision and a good leader. And I think, yeah, definitely, as I think through that, allowing that space for that good leader to emerge, but really bringing back into place the vision and what is that vision that plays out, and we need that alignment in vision. And then gate 8 is almost all yin. It's also, so it's far more receptive, and line 5 is the only yang line, so that counterpart to gate 14. All right, so line 1, the recognition that wealth has its own problems. The wisdom that investing in expertise brings rewards. So all of these are reminders that I just need at the moment. The utilization of talent and wealth for the highest good. The concentration on establishing strong foundations. The ever-present risk inherent in the position of power. So that's the one that is consistent for me, is that ever-present risk inherent in positions of power. A dissatisfaction with the gifts of others that creates feelings of superiority. I definitely resonate with that. Bless you me. Existentialism as the key to acceptance and the source of power. Coupling grace with control. Coupling grace with control. That's an interesting saying as well. So I think I've gone more into like my own introspective musing with gate 14. I want to just tap into and see if there's anything else that jumps out for me. Gate 56 is still active, so 1156 becomes a defined channel for me. Again, defining that Anya. That must be pretty lit up for me right now. Let's look at the day. Where am I? Just today. That should give me a picture of my body graph. Yeah, so the connections, for me at least, and actually right now for everybody, we've got both of the collective Anya 2 throat circuits are defined in the collective. And so that's a fairly powerful, like, bringing ideas to voice. And one thing I would embrace, recommend, is being aware that the ideas that feel so much like they need to be expressed right now may fade in a week or two. So make decisions for this moment, not for the future with that, if you're usually in that space. There's no other consistent defined channels, but there's a couple defined for me. Gate 20 playing out in the integration circuit still through Uranus, which is the application of the now. We've got stillness, vitality, spirit, the nodes 55, 59. Nothing else jumps out at me. There's a question that was asked. Am I going to do that in this? I think I'm going to do a separate video for that. So I think I will leave this one here. As we move forward this week, the Earth and Sun move towards gate 39 and 38, both of which are still in the root center. So lots of root center activation at the moment, which can come through as stress or pressure or anxiety, can come through as an impulse and an invitation to ground, revitalize, those kinds of things, definitely playing out in the nervous system. 39 is the emotional provocation to help us find clarity, and 38 is its counterpart on the other side, leading up to the spleen. Both of those are individual, so that kicks in Australia at least 5 a.m. Thursday. So moving into that. But as you reflect on the last couple of days, where have you noticed that desire for stillness? Where have you noticed the desire to make decisions based on what brings you joy? And moving forward, continue to lean into that. And then when we move into the 39, 38, paying attention to what's the individual nervous system regulation? Where are we provoking for insights or for emotional clarity? And that would be the reflection questions that I'd bring at the moment. Just going to see. Yeah, so the provoked purpose. Let irritation reveal what matters. Gate 38, grounds provocation through struggle, purpose, and the will to keep going. And gate 39 stirs the provocation, obstruction, and emotional pressure that tests our freedom. Friction can clarify purpose when irritation is met with honesty rather than reaction, making sure that we're all allowing ourselves space to respond. And I say that meaning not necessarily the sacral response, but just the respondability that we've got. And that's true for all of our designs. If you have any questions, if you would like to dive deeper into these conversations, feel free to join us in the Human Design Aligned Living School community. We have our first community connections call later today. We'd love to see you there, and I will connect with you soon.